You've probably seen it, but methylation-based nutritional supplements are everywhere. They've been popping up over the last couple of years. Methylcobalamin for B12, methylfolate for B9, MTHFR-based formulas. But for many people, they don't help, and they can actually sometimes make things worse. So today I want to explain exactly why and what you need to understand before you begin to take them, because they can be very powerful, they can be very helpful. So why are they hurting, though, equally as many people? Let's get right into it. So here's the big misunderstanding. People are believing that methylfolate, B9, and methylcobalamin, B12, are going to fix the methylation-based pathways, but it's simply not true. They are there to provide methylation or methyl donors, but not necessarily improve the pathways themselves. So it's incomplete, meaning like you're putting, well, let's give you a simple example. So think of B9, methylfolate, or B12 as methylcobalamin as the cargo that your body needs in order to improve overall methylation. And maybe we'll take a step back for a moment. So there are many people in this world, myself included, who have a specific gene mutation. I won't get too deep on this, but it is called the methylene tetrahydrofolate reductase gene, MTHFR. And what happens is these individuals are typically more prone to maybe higher levels of inflammation, potentially poor recovery, sometimes brain fog, chronic fatigue, anything that can essentially go wrong in the human body in terms of inflammation, MTHFR can begin to affect. And I've got a lot more podcasts on this, so I'm going to link them up here today at stephencabral.com/3632. But this is very important, so I want to stay on point, is that just taking in a B9 or B12 methylated nutritional supplement are not going to solve those particular issues. So if you are dealing with irritability, trouble focusing, inflammation, poor recovery, yes, you need those B vitamins, but the problem is that B12 and B9 are the cargo. Like that's what you need to shuttle into the tissues and the cells, and they carry the methyl groups, but the cargo doesn't move itself, meaning that because you put your bag up on a conveyor belt, that conveyor belt needs to move, right, to get it onto the plane. So this is one of the biggest keys that people are missing, and it's why I'm not a nutritional supplement individual cherry-picked formula type of individual. Meaning as a practitioner, people need a foundation. I say that all the time. And cherry-picking these supplements, I see way too many clients that come in and they're taking just this particular B vitamin, just this particular mitochondrial booster. And the problem is that it leaves out all of the different pathways. So again, this is the cargo, but not the pathway for methylation. What actually moves those to where they need to be? Well, it's another B vitamin called riboflavin. Vitamin B2. Keep in mind, there's B1, there's B2, there's B3, there's a lot of B vitamins. You can't really neglect any of them, but I want to focus on B2 for a moment because B2 is the engine, right? So if B9 and B12 are the cargo, B2 is the engine. Why is that? Because riboflavin is converted to FAD, something called flavin adenine dinucleotide. What does that mean? It's simply an electron carrier, but it moves things. It's the conveyor belt. It shuttles things from one place to another. And in this case, FAD from riboflavin is needed in order to create activated B9, to actually get it to where it needs to be. And also for B12, what is B12 great for? It's actually used in something called methionine synthase reductase. So it's allowing for recycling of B12. It's allowing for the energy that B12 is going to help to provide to the body itself. That's both in body, nervous system, and brain. And having said that, that's where P5P, that's where paradoxal 5-phosphate or vitamin B6. I know it says P5P, which is a little strange, just molecular-based structuring, but it's vitamin B6. I talk about it all the time. One of the biggest breakthroughs I had in my own health was using vitamin B6. Really powerful, along with magnesium. Now, again, it's 20 years removed from when I got better, but we didn't know that back then. There wasn't a lot of shared science. Those two tremendously helpful for my nervous system, especially someone who, runs that engine pretty hot. And so when we look at overall methylation, higher level practitioners, yes, they were using B9 and B12 decades ago, but then they started to realize, it works so much better for B6 in terms of balancing out the neurotransmitter production as well. But now, forward-thinking practitioners are also adding B2. What I want to share with you, and we talked about why, right? Because that's the shuttle for these other B vitamins. The problem is still, it's not foundational thinking. You don't want to play around and just cherry pick with individual B vitamins. Now, of course, I do have to say there's a time and place for everything, but usually what we're always doing in our practice is we're providing a full methylated, a full B vitamin complex. Why? It's because, well, B1 is needed for the thyroid, and it's needed for actually turning carbohydrates into energy. A lot of people aren't using carbohydrates efficiently. What about vitamin B3, niacin? Niacin is extremely important to help combat things like depression. It's used for your ATP, right? Adenosine triphosphate. A lot of people taking creatine, but yet they're not taking B3. It's so much more important than creatine, right? So it's like you need your foundational based nutritional supplements. So what we're typically doing is we're using something called daily nutritional support, which has all your vitamins and minerals and electrolytes. And it also has essentially a lot of other cofactors as well, or the daily activated multivitamin, 2 at breakfast, 2 at dinner. Very simple. But then after that is what I'm saying, and you can choose your favorite formula, right? After that, then you could layer on a little bit more B9 or a little bit more B12 if you needed to, but at least you have all of your B vitamins. I find that to be really, really important. So in our practice, all the time you'll see someone do like 2 scoops of the daily nutritional support in a morning shake. And then they might do 1 activated B complex at lunch and 1 activated B complex at dinner. Now they're getting a double serving of their B vitamins, but they're getting not just the methylcobalamin for B12 and methylfolate for B9 and the paradoxal 5-fate for B6, but they're always getting then their B1 and their B2, their other B vitamins in there as well. So this is how to effectively overcome a lot of these imbalances that we talk about, whether it's in my new book, Personomics, or you've run your own lab tests. You begin to understand that the body, really when it's out of balance, has massive deficiencies. Yes, sometimes it's methylfolate, but oftentimes it's a plethora of different vitamins and minerals that your body needs behind the scenes. I've been hearing lately like, oh, we need more boron for testosterone. Sure, you need boron for a lot of things within the body then, and you don't need to necessarily take it separately. You want it as part of that foundational formula. So that's kind of one of the big takeaways here for today. So if you are dealing with anxiety or overstimulation, insomnia, heart palpitations, headaches, irritability, tired and wired, brain fog, and you have those things, you started taking a B vitamin or let's say an MTHFR formula, you felt better maybe temporarily and then got worse, it is most likely because you flooded your bloodstream with the methyl donors, the B9 and the B12, but you didn't have a way to transport them. So they weren't able to be used as quickly and removed from the body, especially if there already were some genetic-based breaks. And so hopefully this podcast, again, is helpful in just sharing with you why it's so important to get your foundation set first. And then you can add on your add-ons, like people are talking about glycine, or they're talking about maybe it is additional methylfolate, methylcobalamin, or they're talking about creatine. All these things are fantastic, but they never replace your foundation. They never replace your base. That's why in Personomics, I talk about a good daily activated multi or daily nutritional support. Okay, that's your base. Then adding on your omega-3s, which essentially, unless you're on a blood thinner, almost every human being needs to be taking these, and your vitamin D3. If you can only do 3 things as your base, that's the base that I talk about. You can find the exact formulas that I formulate and recommend at stephencabral.com/shop. But as always, remember, you can use and work with a practitioner that you trust, a brand that you trust. I just want to share with you the information, what we do in our practice, and what we know works clinically, meaning like on lab tests and with people in the real world. So hopefully this was helpful. All the show notes and the big takeaways will be at stephencabral.com/3632. Do feel free to share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care, everybody.